Hello, everybody, and welcome to English 108P, Popular Potter. As you have already figured out, we are operating in the alternative modes of delivery here, and as such, we're going to be doing video lectures for the course of the term, which is not ideal, but it's a good way to make the best of a bad situation. Obviously, this is still a university course, so it's not like we're going to have a theme song or anything on account of how absolutely... Okay, so let's maybe try and hit the ground running with this. Let's start with an obvious question. 12 publishers rejected the first Harry Potter book, a fact that has become sort of a weird myth transmitting throughout the publishing community. These were not random individuals identifying the lack of value in the text. These were, in most or all cases, highly educated professionals whose job it is to read books and identify which ones would be popular for a mass market. 12 of them read the manuscript for Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone and did not think that anyone would want to read it. History teaches us, of course, that they were missing something. The question becomes, what was it? What was it that they failed to account for? What aspect of this text shocked the world, I guess would be the easiest way to describe it. Now, that's something we can play with throughout the term, but I'm going to open that up as one of our discussion questions for the day. Okay, a little bit in terms of the history of English 108P. The course, as I said, has a complex history. It was by no means a slam dunk to get it offered in the department. There was a great deal of resistance, in point of fact. I had the, let's call it a privilege, of being in on those meetings, and the contention was sort of about the issue of teaching a popular work versus the necessity of teaching a work that has become a touchstone text for so much of the English-speaking world, and beyond that, of course, as well. So there's still resistance amongst faculty regarding the existence of this course. I have to deal with that a lot at faculty meetings when people point out angrily that we shouldn't be allowing students to take a Harry Potter course. We should be forcing them to take Chaucer instead. It's rough. It's a little rough. I feel like I have to constantly defend this course. But I'm hoping that, even in this alternative format, you'll see the value of it as we go along. As I said, at the same time, a major selling point of this course is the fact that it's popular, the fact that it draws a crowd. And that's maybe been the sort of pivot point on which we've been able to keep it on the docket for as many years as we have, despite the intense animosity that sometimes makes its way into our meetings regarding whether or not we should be teaching a course on Harry Potter. Oh, and FYI, just to get the record straight, I very much support it. We should teach Harry Potter. I hope my enthusiasm for that will come across throughout the rest of the term. So a little bit on aims of this course. Many different instructors teach the course, and each teach it their own way. We do not share lecture notes or syllabi, though we do dialogue and compare notes. So all I mean by that is that what you're getting in this course is going to be radically different from what somebody else taking a Harry Potter course with a different instructor is going to get. This isn't a cookie-cutter course, I guess is the easiest way to describe that. So my approach, the demand approach, as I've narcissistically phrased it in the slideshow. 1. Deconstruct Harry Potter. Take it apart in order to ascertain what made it special, and to show the various choices and techniques and contexts that made Harry Potter what it is today. Simply put, I want you to understand this series beyond what you might have thought possible. We're going to just analyze everything about it as best as we possibly can and show the various kind of choices and decisions that went into making it and the effects of those choices and why those choices had the effects that they had. It should be intensive, if not engaging. 2. Along the way, I want you to see how the same techniques that we apply in this e-classroom can be applied to any and all literary or even non-literary texts, to get you thinking critically about fiction in general and introducing you to the kind of literary analysis that our department does every day in all of its classes, not just awesome Harry Potter ones. Now, for anyone who is taking a bunch of English courses, you've probably noticed that we actually don't offer a lot of single story studies. You might find like a single author course with like a Jane Austen course, that kind of thing. Usually what ends up happening is we teach like one book every 2 weeks. And as such, you're always just scratching the surface of it. I think this is a real flaw in our department. The advantage of this course is an entire class on one continuous story across 7 books. So we're going to be able to bring a lot of different angles on it, and maybe do justice to the study in a way that's hard to do, again, in a 2-week, one novel scenario. Expectations. The only readings you have for this course are the 7 Harry Potter novels. This is normally where I would pause for applause, but I'm not going to hear that. All additional theory and reading material will be introduced to you through lecture. That might sound easy, since most of you have probably already finished all 7, hence why you would take a Harry Potter course. But there are limits to how much reading material we're allowed to assign students, and those rules don't account for the likelihood of prior reading. So there's literally like a page count I'm supposed to give you, and according to our department guidelines, I'm not supposed to exceed that page count. And we're already real close with the 7 Harry Potter novels, so there's nothing else to really deal with here. There are other books in the Harry Potter franchise, and a play that we're going to pretend doesn't exist. This is not a bird course. I actually take this very seriously. If you're not capable of doing the same, then you should sincerely find another course. We will be applying some fairly advanced literary models here, and you'll be challenged intellectually. If you do not keep up with your readings and you do not engage with the content, your grade will suffer. That's kind of a no-brainer, but this is actually the challenge of taking a course on Harry Potter that I think a lot of people don't think about. Having an F in statistics or mechatronics is going to look bad on a transcript. Having an F in Harry Potter is not something you want an employer or a graduate coordinator to see, or for that matter, your parents. Take this course seriously. You've been warned. Each lecture will emphasize the Socratic method as best as I can get that into a digital format, as opposed to a strict lecture style. We're going to dialogue, ask questions, challenge each other. A lot of the learning experience will come from discussion boards. It makes for a better experience. And how many Harry Potter courses are you going to take in your lifetime? You might as well make the most of it. Format. Welcome to the era of alternative pedagogy, aka the breath of another human being can literally kill you now, so let's not cram students into lecture halls. I'm going to release each lecture according to the schedule of our syllabus as a video file on the website. So basically 2 a week. Or excuse me, probably 2 a week. I'm going to split them up. You watch the video, such as this one. Then you head to the discussion board in order to talk about the ideas presented within it. In this sense, our course is roughly asynchronous. You don't have to follow an exact schedule, but still collaborative, and you're still going to need to check in every week. In order to maintain, let's say enforce really, you will receive a grade based on your contribution to discussion. So say something smart. All assignments will be submitted to Learn. Feedback will also be distributed through Learn. I'm still, however, very available to talk to students during online office hours or by appointment. Let's just say by appointment rather than me sitting in front of a webcam by myself, lonely, for an hour a week. And that would be great. Turns out being quarantined with 2 young children lends one a certain fondness of conversation with adult human beings. Who knew? I'll be very happy to talk to you. Especially if you don't want to talk about Paw Patrol. Me. Hello. Okay, my background. I have a PhD in English language and literature. I first started studying Harry Potter in grad school, actually in the late 1990s. At the time, only the first 4 books had been published, so I was sort of in on the ground floor, I guess. Though my current research focus is a writer named Chris Claremont, I took some time away from that 2 years ago to write an article on Harry Potter for Salon.com, which has now been read by more human beings than literally anything else that I've ever published before or since, quite frankly. So this is like my greatest success story, let's call it. I have a deep affection and adoration for in-class lecturing, but am making the best of a bad situation here. I'll try to make the content engaging. I'm regarded as one of the more tech-savvy members of the English department, but I have to assume that is not a particularly competitive market for technical savvy. Things will go wrong with our website. Feel free to bring them to my attention, and thank you in advance for your patience, or the illusion thereof. Okay, so we should probably take a minute to go through our course syllabus, so you know exactly what we're going to be expecting in this class. This is available to you on Learn, where you can get all the more zoomed in versions thereof. Of course, it just now occurs to me that I've completely lost your faith in the technical savvy that I just talked about by saying the zoomed-in version thereof. And yet will persist. Okay, so basic information. Course number, all that kind of stuff I'm guessing you figured out. We can probably go without that. My email address is on the top. My office is Sweeney Hall 2107, sort of. I'm currently locked out of it, which makes me sad because I have a deep affection for my books. They might be opening that up in May, though. So there may be a point in time in which I am working out of my office as opposed to my basement. Office hours, as I said, let's just do them by appointment. I think that'll make all of our lives easier. If you need to talk to me, send me an email. Suggest a time in which we might meet over, WebEx or Skype or whichever platform the university is peddling by the time this course actually begins. We've gone through about 3 already in the past 2 weeks, which I'm finding kind of hilarious. Hopefully WebEx. I like WebEx. Course description. This course is going to examine all 7 of J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter novels in order to construct an in-depth understanding of both the works themselves and of the cultural context surrounding them. Topics will range from core forms of literary analysis, such as genre studies, to more emerging fields, such as transmedia studies, so like adaptations and games and stuff. In all aspects of the course, our goal will be to deconstruct Harry Potter as both a work of literature and as an important social object within contemporary culture. Additionally, the course will seek to cultivate active reading and analytical skills alongside essay writing abilities, the kind of things you would expect from an English course. Required texts, the 7 Harry Potter novels. That's it. Assignment structure, and here we had to do a lot of tweaking, I guess would be the easiest way to describe it, in order to get this thing to work. So as usual, we're going to have a big final essay. That's standard first year English course protocol, so I'm not really deviating from anything there. Be worth 40%, minimum length 2,000 words, and I'll give you a big description of how to do that as we get a little bit closer to the deadline. Online discussion. This one sucks. There's nothing I can do about that. We need this. This is really important to any lit course, to have a sort of vibrant and active discussion. Students will be required to actively contribute to the online discussion forums on a weekly basis. Full details of how this will be assessed can be found on Learn. And that document will contain all the information of what I'm going to be looking for and what my expectations are. We'll make it simple. I want you active. I want you talking in the discussion boards. If you can't do that, pretend you can and fake it. Content tests. There'll be 2 of these throughout the year. Basically a midterm and a final. Straightforward questions that will address your understanding of both the readings and of various concepts and perspectives discussed in the lectures. Each of these 2 tests will be worth 15% of your final grade. So this will be done through Learn. Which is not ideal, but we'll make it work. Group assignments. Also not super duper fun, but I would argue less awkward in an online forum. 3 times throughout the term, indicated on the schedule, I'm going to assign you to a group, so I'll just publish a list and connect you to your group members, and give you a task with a clearly defined deliverable. So like a thing that I require you to turn in. Could be a written document, could be a PowerPoint. We'll play with it. I will also eliminate 1 lecture for that week so as to give you time to coordinate with your group and complete the task. So normally we'll do 2 lectures a week. On the group assignment days, or the group assignment weeks, or the content test weeks, we're only going to do 1. All members are going to receive the exact same grade, so you're stuck with who you get left with. The logic that we usually employ when we talk about this kind of thing is, 1, it's good life simulation. The idea that, sometimes in your life you're going to be saddled with people that you have to work with, and your task is to elevate them. And if you can't elevate them because they're already smarter than you, then, find a way to contribute. Find a way to help them out and enjoy the ride. Our schedule. So as you can see, what we're doing, most of our lecture content is either a concept, a tool of literary analysis, or a sector of literary analysis applied to Harry Potter at large. And then we'll do specific lectures on each of the 7 specific Harry Potter texts, so that we're covering the individual stories as well as the concepts governing the overarching story. That'll be the approach that we're going to go with. So for example, we got our introduction, which you're listening to and just loving right now, followed by a lecture on setting, which you're really excited to click on as soon as you're done this particular video. Then we'll go to the Philosopher's Stone. We'll just look at that book. Then Harry Potter and the Hero's Journey. We'll talk about the monomyth and how Harry Potter conforms to it. It's a really cool kind of structural theory. And it'll ruin you forever in terms of consuming mass media, because you'll never be able to not see the monomyth in all of the movies that you attend. It'll be fun. Then we're going to move to genre. conventions and creations. This is a fun one for me. I think J.K. Rowling's greatest strength as an author is her ability to seamlessly merge and shift genres. She's really, really good at it. And like things that shouldn't work. Agatha Christie mixed with Wes Craven, that should not happen. And she executes it just beautifully every time. Then we'll do the Chamber of Secrets. Then we'll look at the mystery structure, speaking of Agatha Christie. Then we'll have our first in-class assignment. Then we'll look at extra textual features, such as publishing, demographics, and market. Then a lecture on the Prisoner of Azkaban. Then we're going to look at character dynamics, which is really cool in Harry Potter, because, spoiler, Harry isn't the most interesting character ever created, yet he sure propels the story. Then we'll do the Goblet of Fire, have our content test. Then we'll look at author and autobiography. So it's a little bit about how Rowling's life informs her work, and sometimes really problematically. Then we'll look at symbolism and allegory, sort of benchmarks of literary standards, followed by the Order of the Phoenix, another in-class assignment, your group assignment number 2. Then we're going to the Half-Blood Prince, then themes of mortality and maturation, then the Deathly Hallows, and we'll talk about Potter Wars and fan culture, because Harry Potter has been at the center of what fans are allowed to do with the books that they read, and just how fan interaction can make or break a narrative, I guess. Last in-class group assignment, followed by Hermione Granger and the Goddamn Patriarchy, in which we'll look at particular pieces of fan culture, including one of that name. We'll also look at the dreaded My Immortal fanfiction, and some other things that I kind of find and share for you. Followed by our final test in order to close us out in week 12. In terms of posting the lecture slides, I'll do it like the 2-a-week thing. So week 1, you'll find 2 videos. By week 2, you'll find 4. Again, I want to keep something resembling a schedule, just so you're not like, week 11 sitting down and binge watching 24 lectures and trying to catch up with the course there. That's not going to work for anybody. That's going to kill the discussion boards. So I don't know. I kind of apologize without apologizing for what I've set up here. Okay, so getting beyond the syllabus. Obviously, if you have any questions about the syllabus, you just come talk to me. Okay, so our course also is going to incorporate concepts of gamification and narrative immersion, something I've been working on with the Center for Teaching Excellence. That got a little bit messed up with this whole COVID crisis, but I'm still working on it. I ran a beta of it last year in person, and it was great. It was incredibly successful. I was really happy with it. So what we'll be doing is I'm running an optional House Cup competition. You don't have to participate. This is actually important to me. I don't want to add to your workload. And more importantly, I want this thing to be kind of fun. It'll be a little educational as well. That's part of the design. I think it'll enhance your experience of the texts and get you closer to the story, which is the whole idea of narrative immersion. Gamification just makes the course a little more interesting. So as noted, optional, not obligated to participate, and opting out will not affect your grade in the slightest. But since we're all here and the world is more or less on fire at the moment, you might as well have some fun with this. The first step is to declare your allegiance. Simply change your profile picture on Learn to the colors of Ravenclaw, Gryffindor, Hufflepuff, or Slytherin. Like a badge would be good. Something to clearly indicate what house you're in. If you're not playing, do absolutely nothing. And congratulations. You might be thinking, quote, won't other students and professors also see my house profile picture? End quote. And to that, I again say, yes, you coward, they absolutely will. But it's time to commit. In worst case scenario, you have to have a slightly awkward conversation revealing your juvenile nature to another human being. But we're all pretty juvenile. You did sign up for a Harry Potter course. I don't think you're allowed to pretend you're not. And then finally, here's the discussion questions that I want to engage with for this particular week, section, sector, lecture. Let's say lecture. So the first one I already mentioned. What did 12 publishers miss about Harry Potter? What about this series might have seemed unappealing or unmarketable back in the early 1990s? Again, this seems like such a no-brainer. Boy wizard story in Britain, and he's cruel and he's kept under the cupboard and all this kind of stuff, but he's empowered and it's awesome. And Hermione's there. And no, 12 people read that. No, this isn't very good. I don't want to publish this. No one's going to like this. So how did whatever's special about Harry Potter go unseen at first? I know it's a simple question, but I think it'll maybe get us to the heart of the complexity of the story. The things that could possibly go unseen. I think that's a reflection of depth in some ways. Then, seeing as we don't have an in-class icebreaker exercise, which you all would have loved so much, let's open with a few personal revelations about each other. Simple questions. Which Harry Potter book is the best and why? Which Harry Potter book is the weakest and why? And in my mind, there's a correct answer to at least that second question. On what grounds did you convince yourself or others that taking a Harry Potter course might be a valuable part of your education? So you'll see these come up in the discussion forums. I look forward to reading your responses and responding with some thoughts of my own. That concludes your introductory lecture. I guess the only thing left to say is, again, welcome to English 108p, Harry Potter. I hope you really enjoy this class.